The Indiana Fever season is under a month from getting underway. The draft just a moment ago. So with us to discuss those things is Fever President Kelly Krauskopf. Let's start with the draft a few days ago. You obviously made a draft-related decision bringing in Candace Dupree, and a pick went in with that. So as you're preparing and getting ready for what was this past draft, how do things change from your perspective?
Well, I mean, we knew early on that there was a lot of opportunity to move that pick and acquire a player like Candace. So I think as I was preparing, when we start with free agency, which we do it opposite of the NBA, we sign free agents first and then we have our draft, that there was an opportunity to go ahead, move the pick and really try to acquire just a great experienced, happens to be a power forward and in the slot that Catchings leaves behind. But it changed a little bit. I would say that the draft in general was really guard heavy. So for the opportunity for us to get Candace was a terrific way to start our off season. And then as we got into the draft, and then we were able to acquire a young power forward in Erica McCall from Stanford. It really turned in our favor in that regard.
Yeah, let's take us through those moments as you're watching and all of a sudden she's still there.
Erica was somebody that we, in all of our mock drafts, and certainly ones that we had seen, she was a top 12, top 13 pick. So as we got into that second round and more guards kept going ahead of her, it was an exciting moment.
She seemed like a pretty clear choice from your perspective. But as you're going through this process in general, how do you weigh the balances of trying to pick a player that fits what you need and also wanting to take the best player available?
I think she was both. I think she was best player available by far, and I think she fit a need. So you're right. I mean, at some point you do get into the draft and you're starting to look at team need. Let's face it, all of our rosters are very, very competitive. They're very full. So you're looking for depth in certain areas, like maybe another wing. We wanted to pick up another point guard in Fitzgerald. Picked up a wing in Ronnie Williams, and then was able to pick up another scoring guard in Motley. So those are all kind of depth, positions for us. If I look at other teams, I think most people were trying to do the same thing.
As the draft starts to move on, you get mid, late second, and early third round. Is that kind of the point where all the research and all the hard work you guys have done really comes into play at those points?
It does. Look, by the time you get to, you're going through 28, 30 players, you've done your homework on everyone. And we had in our mind who, we knew if we were able to get, let's say a perimeter player at this pick, we were probably going to look at the next best post, we were going to look at the next best point guard. So there was some strategy behind it because we had 3 second-round picks. We did not have Erica McCall sitting there at 17, so that was a pleasant surprise, but it helped us with our depth in terms of how we wanted to craft our training camp roster.
Obviously, McCall seems like a home run from the position you guys especially got her at. The draft in its entirety, you mentioned those 3 second-round picks. Are you happy with how things turned out?
Very much so, very much so. This is, every year, the WNBA, we have 12 teams, we have 3 rounds. There are players that are coming back around that are on our roster, our training camp roster, trying to get a spot. So there's a lot of talent out there in women's basketball, a lot. And I tell these players all the time, if you don't make our team, it doesn't mean you can't play in the WNBA. It just means there's, based on the depth of those positions or where we are with our roster, there may not be room. But I'm very optimistic. This is going to be a really good camp. We have a lot of good talent. We have a lot of free agents with, Shanice McKinney, Victoria McCauley, Nadia Colhado, and all of our returning players. So we're very optimistic.
As you get ready for training camp here, just a couple of days away, how does your attention and your focus change here now that the draft is over and the season is more of a reality?
Well, I mean, I'm really looking at not only our team, but I'm kind of studying other people's rosters, trying to predict somewhat, who might be released, who may stick around. That was maybe somebody we had an eye on. So, we're preparing this is a transition year in terms of the off season because new coach, new staff, a lot of new players that are coming into camp. So, in many ways, it's a very exciting time and a very optimistic time.
Speaking of that, I think Pokey is a proven commodity, certainly, but your first chance to work with her as close as you have. You've had the full off season now. How's everything gone?
It's weird because we are so similar in the way we see a lot of things. So we sort of laugh about how if we're talking about players or we're talking about how we want to play or things about our team or things about the culture. I'm very culture driven. I think that's a key to success. Your locker room, the kinds of people that you have around your team, the kinds of people that you have in your organization. And, she and I have talked a lot about trying to continue that and make sure we build off of what has happened here for the last 17 seasons. And, we're right in line. And I've just enjoyed getting to know her, and I think these players are going to really love playing for her.
Well, training camp just a few days away, the preseason and certainly the regular season now just about 3 weeks away until the start of that. Visit feverbasketball.com where you can pick up your ticket packages. We'd love to have you here inside Bankers Life Fieldhouse as the Fever season is just about upon us. President Kelly Krauskopf, appreciate your time here
Thanks.
today.
Appreciate it. Thank you.